More and more car owners are finding that their car loans are becoming a serious liability, and whether it's the payment is too high or the debt is too high, they're running into some problems. So what do you do about this? Over the last 3 years, new car prices and even used car prices had gone through the roof, and many people bought cars with payments of seven, eight, 900, even $1,000 a month for a car payment. Not only that, but the amount that was financed sometimes is extraordinarily high compared to the value of the vehicle. So what's happening now after a couple years? People have a car that's 2 years old, maybe they have 50, 60,000 miles on it, and they're paying 800 a month, 900 a month. Other inflation has kicked in with gas prices and grocery prices. Insurance has gone up. Maybe their wages didn't go up accordingly, and they can't afford their car payment. And they go to try to sell it and find out that they owe more than it's worth. Maybe you bought the car for $45,000 and you still owe $35,000, but it's only worth 30 or 28. What do? Well, obviously you could just give the car back and repossess it, or not pay the payments and let them come get it. But you don't want to do that because that's going to mess up your credit. More frequently, both borrowers and lenders are looking at a process called a vehicle short sale or a car short sale. It's similar to what was happening in the 2000s with real estate when people owed more on their house than it was worth. You contact a lender and work out a deal. And the way it works is you present to the lender three very important representations. Number one is that you can't afford to make the payment. You're going to have to show some documentation of your income, show some documentation of your expenses to prove that you're not just trying to do this to get out of something that you could do if you had to. If your income is lower or your expenses are higher, you have to prove that you're in distress. Next thing you have to do is really show what the vehicle's worth. Look, if you owe $30,000 on the vehicle, but it's really worth 35, they're not going to have any sympathy for you. But if it's worth 22 or 23,000 and you can demonstrate that, they're going to recognize that, you know, if you stop paying, they're going to lose money on it, and maybe if you do a short sale, they'll lose less money. And number three, you have to put together a proposal. So let's say, for example, you owe $30,000 on a vehicle, and maybe it's worth in the book $22,000. Maybe you could find a buyer for $24,000 or $25,000. If you present that to them in a way that says, "Look, I will sell this vehicle for $25,000. It's not enough to pay off the loan, but will you accept that as a short sale and give the title to the buyer?" They're going to want to make sure that your buyer isn't you just trying to save money on your loan. They want to make sure it's an honest, third-party, arm's length transaction. And you will be back in your video in just a few seconds. In the meantime, remember that actualhuman.com offers you live one-on-one private video consultation with an expert in this exact subject. We want to listen to your story. We want to hear your questions. We want to give you expert advisement of your options and tell you what we know about your particular situation. Now back to your video. You're going to get some benefits from this. If they repossess the vehicle and it's worth $22,000, first of all, they're going to spend $1,000 on repossession. Then they're going to spend $1,000 on transporting it to an auction, to a shipping yard or some other type of disposal place. Then they're going to have to pay auction fees, and they're only going to get wholesale for it. So instead of 22, they might get 18. So they're going to lose another 5 or 6,000 on top of the initial deficiency. And you might think, well, they can get that from me. They can. They can come back after you and make you try to pay it. But they know if you don't have enough money to pay the car notes, they're probably not going to get, it's like getting blood from a stone. They're not going to get money from you anytime soon. But if you present them a clean, tied up in a wrapper, done deal transaction that says, I'll get you 25, no auction fees, no repossession fees, no additional losses, they might like that idea. And they don't have to spend their time having somebody in-house manage all that. Now, what about the difference? If you sell it for 25 and you owe 30, what happens to the 5,000? Well, what you can do is you can ask them in exchange for you doing all this for them to waive that. They may or may not do it, but at least you can get out from under your payments, right? Whether they waive it or not, that would be a bonus. But if you can get out from underneath a $900 payment, that would help, right? And even if you have to pay that $5,000 over time, it's better than having to pay 10,000 because after they repossess it and they have their fees and they sell it cheap, you're going to owe 10,000. So you'll owe less anyways. Sometimes they'll waive it, sometimes they won't. At least what they'll do is they'll give you the opportunity to make payments, and sometimes that will not show up on your credit as a repossession. You have to ask them. There's no set way they do it. Worst case scenario, you get out from your payments and owe less deficiency to the bank. It could be worse than that. You could have, other consequences, but at least you're minimizing your losses. And sometimes we have clients that they don't have to pay the difference, or if they do, they have to pay it over time, maybe $100 a month for 4 years, something like that, right? So at least you're paying $100 a month rather than $900 a month. So look at a vehicle short sale. You can click the link below, carshortsale.com. It'll give you some information about it. We also have a service where we can prepare documents for you if you prefer. But it is a very underused, kind of underappreciated way to try to remove liability from your car loan. And not every lender publicizes it because they really don't want to have it be out there and have everybody doing it. They only want to do it when it's really needed and when somebody requests it. So look into that with your lender. Look into that with our website, and there's more information there if you need help. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can access live one-on-one personal consultations with a licensed private investigator, a licensed commercial insurance broker, licensed certified real estate title examiner, also a certified civil court mediator. So if you have a need to talk to an expert in any of these fields, or even a licensed building general contractor, you can click the link below, actualhuman.com, and arrange a live one-on-one undivided attention with a licensed expert where you can ask any questions, get information about your situation, and we'd be glad to help.